Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and this one we are testing the GeForce RTX 3060 Ti inside Assassin's Creed Shadows, and once again thanks to Ubisoft for providing me access to this game. And we have the Zotac Twin Edge OC model of the card. Here are the specs of the card, and we have the GDDR6 variant of the card, not the GDDR6X, and we have the 8 gigs of VRAM, and we have the latest NVIDIA driver 572.83 game ready for Assassin's Creed Shadows. We have resizable bar also enabled inside BIOS. Over here in Task Manager, we have the Intel Core i7-13700KF CPU. As always, for memory, we have 64 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megatransfers per second, CL36. Finally, for MSI Afterburner, no overclocks are applied. Only I have manually changed the fan speed to 88 because otherwise this card really heats up a lot in automatic fan card. So let's get inside the game and check out the frame rates. So we are inside the menu. We're going to start this off with 1080p resolution at first. And for upscalers, we have access to DLAA, DLSS, FSR, and XeSS. And I have also manually overridden the DLSS version to Transformer model or DLSS 4 from NVIDIA app. As you can see, to super resolution is set to latest. And we are going to use a DLAA, which is basically native AA or the anti-aliasing from DLSS. And motion blur and chromatic aberration is visible. For scalability, we're going to use the high overall graphics preset and set ray tracing to low, and this one is set to diffuse hideout only, and rest of the settings as you can see. So we are here in the hideout area of the game. This is basically a safe house like or safe area like place, and we are getting around 40 FPS here. Not a good start, but obviously this is the hideout, so RTGI is by default enabled here. You cannot turn it off in this area. So we will leave the hideout and then check out our performance real quick. And looks quite decent even with high preset, and let's get out quickly. So here we are outside. I'm gonna refresh the counters now, and hopefully we will get around 50 FPS average, and the card is almost performing the same as the 4060 was in my previous video I posted. It is pretty much the same. I don't see any difference. I mean, maybe a tad bit better, 1 or 2 FPS more we can get with the 3060 Ti. And the problem is we don't have access to DLSS Frame Generation with this card. Only FSR Frame Gen is available. So we will have to work with that, even though that kind of looks worse than DLSS Frame Gen. But it is what it is. We have access to. So we are getting around 45 FPS, 46 average. Not the greatest. And I mean, yeah, frame rate really should have been a bit higher, at least with high settings. I expected 60 FPS with a card like a 3060 Ti at Ubisoft. This is not good. Optimization should have been better, obviously. I mean, the only good thing we can say about this game's optimization is the frame time. It's pretty smooth. We don't get to see such smooth frame time nowadays with recent titles like... we have seen the Stalker 2, Monster Hunter, and many other titles out there which are just worse than this. In that sense, this one is pretty good. But again, that ray tracing we cannot completely turn off. That's another problem we have with this game. You can set it to low, but we cannot fully turn off. And that sucks. I guess that's gonna be a pretty much new normal from now, with big games like this. And this is a quadruple A title, don't forget about that, from Ubisoft. Oh, what happened here? What you guys doing, huh? Oh, wow. Oh my goodness. Is he a ninja or what? Want some? Nice try there. He had good moves there for a second, and we can actually cut bambus in this game with our katana. I really like that. It's pretty satisfying. For next, we are gonna enable Qlty DLSS, and this is DLSS 4 by the way. And for the settings, we have the same settings as previously, which is the high preset with the RT set to low. And here we go. We're getting 50 plus now, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna drop to 45-ish frames soon. Let's call our horse real quick. Let's go, buddy. Let's have a stroll. in the woods, and as soon as you enable DLSS, there is a lot of trailing or ghosting. You can notice, especially at lower resolution like 1080p. I generally don't like the DLSS in this game, but at least with DLSS 4, the image quality is far better. If this was DLSS 3 or something, it would be a mess. And as you can see, we are... Oh my god, even with DLSS quality, we are dropping to 39 there. That is unacceptable. What is this? Yamato,
I see
level
you.
29. We shouldn't be going here, but I'll still go. Regardless. I want to explore. And trust me, it doesn't look good right now with quality DLSS at 1080p with high settings. I don't like the looks of this. There's a bit of pop-in, grass pop-in, but it's gonna be more with even when we switch to medium settings preset soon. But so at least we can get the 50 FPS average now. But this is unacceptable. Even with quality DLSS, we can't get 60 FPS. What are you up to, Ubisoft? It shouldn't be like this. Even with DLSS, we are barely touching that 60 mark, but the average is 50. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I do like the draw distance though in the game. Even with the medium settings, I've seen pretty good draw distance this game has. So I guess we will need to try this with some frame generation, and we can only utilize FSR Frame Gen with our 3060 Ti. And I have quality DLSS also enabled on top of that. And for the settings, we are still using the high graphics settings. Okay, finally we get 100 plus FPS. And my goodness, the image looks so bloody, so soft. And there is so much artifacting. It looks weird, the grass especially. Oh my goodness, there is a lot of trailing. The insects which are flying in the air, there's a lot of trails behind them, or if you would like to call them ghosting. Yeah, it's not good, guys. FSR Frame Gen. It does the job, but in terms of visual quality, I cannot recommend this to you. But it's pretty good in terms of latency. And I'm playing with a controller, and we're getting like 100 FPS, so it's not really noticeable at all. And with the mouse also, yeah, it's pretty good in terms of smoothness and responsiveness. I can take that, but not the visual quality though. Now since we were getting pretty close to like 50 FPS with DLAA only, I'm gonna try that with FSR Frame Gen, see what happens with the high settings preset. Okay, we're getting that 80 plus FPS, which we generally need in terms of DLSS frame generation. That was, as long as you could get like 80 plus FPS, the input lag was manageable with the controller.
I'm starving.
But with FSR FG, I can't say the same. It's a bit noticeable even with controller. Yeah, it's not nice. I think with the 90 plus and 100 FPS, with that it was still good. For that you had to use quality DLSS, as I showed in the previous clip. But with this one, I don't think so. It's not nice, guys. And with the mouse, it's even worse. I cannot recommend this. You can try this with quality DLSS and FSR Frame Gen if you would like, but then the visual quality gets messed up. But without DLSS quality, the visual quality is still better.
I see you.
But you can get used to this over time. If you like play for a longer period of time, this latency, you will get used to it. That's all I can say about this. What is he doing? Why is he wearing that on his head? A nice singing though. Not singing, I mean playing instrument. Alright guys, it's time to disable FSR Frame Gen once again, and we're gonna stick to DLAA. And we're gonna try this with some ray tracing. Let's apply this. And since we were using the high quality preset, and I'm gonna set ray tracing quality also to high, and RTGI also to diffuse everywhere. Let's try this. Wow, that looks like a totally different game right now with ray trace global illumination turned on. It looks night and day difference, trust me guys, with RTGI. And this is not even this specular RTGI, it's just a diffused one. But the lighting just completely changes the looks of this game. But the FPS, we're getting like 40. And without ray tracing, I mean with it set to low and RTGI turned off, we were getting like 46 or 48 average, I guess, or something like that, around 50. And now we lost about like 10 FPS. So obviously that FPS gain is not that high if you turn off ray tracing, not off, but turn it like low. You don't gain that much of frames, but in terms of visual, you lose a lot. For a game like this, single player story driven game, third person, I would much rather set ray tracing settings to high and play it this way. Because as long as you can manage that 45 FPS, since the frame time is pretty smooth in this game, it becomes quite playable. And if you can also utilize DLSS quality, even though it kind of makes the image look a bit bad, but I think it becomes a bit playable. So I think this is gonna be my recommended settings, guys. I'm gonna set this to quality DLSS without any frame generation, and ray tracing I'll set it to high and diffuse everywhere. And rest of the settings, as you can see. So as you can see, we're getting above 50 FPS, and I think it will obviously drop around 45-ish at times, but this is quite playable in my opinion. And since we have DLSS 4, it's still the image looks still close to native, apart from all that ghosting. It's still fine. And as you can see, we're getting that 52 FPS average, and this is with RT set to high and with RTGI. Keep that in mind. So you can get 50 FPS, and this is quite playable, I would say. This will be my recommended settings at 1080p, even though we have medium settings to check it out. But let me tell you up straight, like medium looks pretty horrible. There is a lot of grass and vegetation pop-ins, shadow pop-ins. I do not recommend that, but we'll still try that regardless. And as you can see, near the settlement areas, the FPS kind of drops a bit. And 53, 55. You don't really need to get 60 FPS in this game. But I would obviously like to have that regardless. Come on, Ubisoft, please give us a bit more frame rate. It would be so nice. And there's still many pop-ins, as you can see, but it is a lot less noticeable than the medium preset. Okay guys, up next we're gonna test medium settings, and that is why I'm gonna set this back to native AA, which is DLAA, frame generation is off, and we're gonna use the medium overall graphics preset, which means ray trace GI is hideout only, ray tracing quality is by default set to low, everything else, here you go. And there we go. That's a big jump actually in frame rate from high to medium, and we are already getting like 50 plus FPS already, which is a decent jump I consider. But the problem is with medium settings, as I've been saying, like there is a lot less grass, lot less vegetation overall, and that is what you will mostly find throughout this whole game. That is grass, vegetation, trees and everything, and that is what it kills with these settings. And you will notice a lot more visual pop-ins, shadow pop-ins, and a lot of grass pop-ins. And right now you might not be able to notice because it's raining and it's kind of dark as well. So I'm just gonna reload another save and show you what happens. So here we go, guys. I have loaded another save, and as you can see now, you will notice there's a lot more pop-ins. Like, look at that. There's a lot less grass also. If I go near, they will start popping in. Those bushes just popped in, and those grass as well. Yeah, look at that. You see over there? That is what I'm talking about. You will see that happen throughout this game with medium settings. Look at those. Look at those bushes, grass, and plants popping in. I just don't like the medium setting in this game. What is that? What is this? That ain't a shadow. That is something else. A bug, I guess. They should fix that. But yeah, this is the only reason I'm not gonna recommend medium settings over high. You should much better off play with high settings. Now, since we are getting that 60 FPS or close to 60 most of the time with DLAA, I'm gonna enable FSR Frame Generation on top of medium settings preset with RT set to low. So now, as you can see, we're getting close to 100 FPS, pretty much 100, I would say. And which means it's gonna be a flawless experience. I mean, a responsive, in terms of responsiveness, it's gonna be perfect because we're getting 100 FPS. Even with mouse, you won't have an issue. As long as it is above 90, you can pretty much deal with the input lag. Let's cut some bamboo real quick. Love doing this. Okay. Getting 99 average here in the trees. Kind of drops FPS at times when you are close to a lot of trees and bushes in this game. They're pretty demanding. As you can see, dropped there for 90 to 91 for a second there and came back up. And water looks decent even on medium settings. If you want to utilize high settings, I mean medium settings, not high. And if you don't mind using FG, then you can get a pretty good amount of FPS bump with obviously fake frames. I know it sucks that we need to use fake frames even at 1080p on top of medium settings, guys, to achieve this frame rate. I mean, Assassin's Creed Valhalla and AC Mirage could easily achieve this with these kind of graphics. Pretty much it was even probably worse, probably even better than this, not worse, and you could achieve like 90-80 FPS easily without needing frame generation. Okay guys, so after all that torture with 1080p resolution only on this GPU, we're gonna move it up to 1440p. We're gonna use DLAA, and for settings we're using the medium preset. I'm not gonna even bother testing low, it just looks absolute garbage to me. And we're gonna use ray trace GI is hideout only, which means it's off, and RTX or ray tracing is set to low, and VVH quality is also low. Rest of the settings, as you can see, they're equivalent to their medium preset. And here we go, guys, and not looking nice. We are already dropping to like below 40. This is not what I expected, at least 40 FPS. I mean, the 4060 got us quite high FPS. I mean, more than 40, I'm pretty sure, in my previous video. I mean, the 3060 Ti is kind of underperforming than the 4060 in this game right now. I mean, they should be pretty equal. I mean, it depends. Like in some games, the 4060 would outperform the 3060 Ti. In others, the 3060 Ti outperforms the 4060. It totally depends. Like in this one, the 4060 did outperform this GPU by a bit. Like probably we are getting like around 42 average using these settings, and this one barely makes it to even 40. But yeah, look at my GPU temperature, by the way. By the way, it's not getting like thermal throttled. It's not happening because that's at 83 over 83, so we're still in the 80s Celsius, so won't be a problem. I need to increase my fan a bit more. Let's quickly turn on some quality DLSS because it's not looking nice without it already. I mean, in terms of FPS, and settings is still set to medium. Alright, finally we can see that sweet 60 FPS, but as soon as I will start moving, it's gonna drop. And there you go, 55, 57. But I think we are getting a lot more FPS with quality DLSS when at 1440p resolution than we were at 1080p. I mean, this is quite nice with the DLSS quality at 1440p. The jump is way bigger, I guess. At 1080p, it wasn't that big when using quality DLSS. So, I mean, I'm not sure. Maybe that was with high settings. This is with medium, right? I mean, I didn't try that with medium, with quality DLSS at 1080p. Yeah, that was with high settings, most likely. But I think still the jump is pretty big in the 1440p. And obviously image looks a lot better than it was at 1080p with quality DLSS because we have more pixels to work with. And as you can see, it's staying around that 60 FPS, no problem, but it will still drop around. If you can OC your card a bit, if it lets you using MSI, try that. You might get that 60 average all the time. And not bad, 1% low, even the 0.1 as you can see, they're pretty good. The 0.1 especially, this game really surprises me in that terms. The 0.1%, it is like the same as 1% low, which means there is no micro stuttering, nothing. That is absolutely the only good thing about this game. But anyways, this is quite a playable settings, guys. You can use FSR Frame Generation on top of this since we are getting 60 FPS, base FPS. So we're going to try that quickly as well. Now, since we are getting the base of 60 FPS with DLSS quality, we're going to use FSR Frame Generation now. Let's apply this real quick. And there we go, 100 FPS quite easily, triple digits. No surprise, right? With a magic, with one option, you can do this magic. That is our frame generation, which all the developers love these days. No surprise, but we gamers do not. I mean, I know many of them do like frame generation. If you are one of them, I personally do not have any problem if you like frame gen or you don't. I personally don't, but it is unfortunately something we have to get used to this as long as these developers keep on utilizing these features and instead of optimizing their games for native resolution. And these are the things we have to play around with, right, to achieve playable frame rate. I do not have problem with frame generation, but the only thing I do not like is the input latency. If that is what could have been eliminated completely out of the equation, and you could still achieve higher FPS with AI and stuff like that, I wouldn't have a problem any day. But yeah, talking about the benchmark, we are getting pretty good FPS, 99 most of the time, and input latency is absolutely not noticeable with the controller even, and with the mouse also, it is not really present at all. Well, I just now realized my camera died in my previous clip, so anyway, here we are back at it. So this time we're gonna go to 4K resolution, the ultimate torture for this GPU. We can even do 8K if you'd like to, but let's leave that alone. And we are not gonna use DLAA this time, we're gonna use TAA, but it looks kind of bad, but we need all the FPS we can get extra frames at 4K. And we are sticking to the medium quality settings, which means ray tracing is set to low and RTGI is set to hideout only. And rest of the settings, as you can see, pretty much. And nothing unexpected. Sub 30 FPS. This is cinematic experience at 4K you can get. If you want that, you can try these settings. Go ahead. You will have a very nice cinematic experience in this game. Trust me. I love this rain sound. It's pretty good. 24, 25 FPS. Just like limit your FPS to like 24 and you will have that beautiful cinematic experience. So I don't think there is any more point in testing these settings, guys. And look at our VRAM usage. It's pretty low, 5.3, but the allocated is around 7.3. And quite a good job this game does in terms of VRAM utilization. Not as bad as many other games out there. So I don't see any other way other than using DLSS set to like performance and get like maybe close to 60 FPS. So with the medium settings as well, let's check this out. Wow, forget about 60, can't even get 50 with performance DLSS. Nothing unexpected, obviously. But yeah, with performance DLSS also, it looks quite good, the image, because of DLSS 4, as I have said. Without DLSS 4, I don't know how bearable this game would be with such visuals of DLSS 3 if you couldn't do DLSS 4. But yeah, I wouldn't even use performance DLSS like in 4K or 1440p resolution of DLSS 3, but for 4 I really do use it. I can recommend it because it looks quite better and pretty good visuals it gives at the same time. And for 4K resolution, the ghosting is a lot less in the grass and bushes and everything else. The hair also looks decent, not the greatest. But as again I have been saying, like with 45 FPS, you can actually play this game quite easily because of the frame time. That it's so smooth overall. It shouldn't be a problem. You can get used to this over time, guys. And I don't think there is any other settings we should test at 4K. I won't test low, as I've said. It looks absolute crap. So I guess that's it gonna be it. So that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Do leave a like if you enjoyed and if this video helped you. And do subscribe if you're new. And I will catch you on the next one. Till then, take care and bye-bye.